All right, week 8. Um, Skip my recap video this week. Just kind of had a busy week. Been feeling a little sick. We're gonna push on though. I got some good ones. This is my targets and avoids. I got some good targets this week. Really like two of my tier one targets. I guess all I gotta say about last week is it went really well. I was riding high coming out of the noon and afternoon games, going into the Bears, Rams, and Cardinals, Seahawks games, and then both of those games went totally against me. Nothing more frustrating than the end of that Seahawks Cardinals game with Russell Wilson. Just I don't know, not some of his. I mean, he had some great moments in that game, but he also had some terrible moments. Ultimately, kind of lost him that game. But I mean, you ask him to do it all for you every week, and that's going to happen sometimes. Their defense is not good, and I don't know, they got problems. But that leads me into my tier one bets. Thank God the Cardinals are not playing this week because that's a team I just don't know what to do with. Good thing they're on bye. They're up and down. I can't decide if they're good or bad. They've kind of proved me wrong a couple times, but then kind of proved me right a couple times. So I don't know. But the Seahawks is a team that I have been drastically reshaping my opinion of them. Um, and I don't think it's just reactionary to this week. Granted, it was kind of a gut punch them losing that overtime game to a division opponent, but I mean, Cardinals are now 5-2. They got a win. They're doing all right. They're not a nobody. Um, so taking them to overtime, that means something. But if you look back at the Seahawks schedule in hindsight, who have they really beaten? Who have they really played? A lot of these games at the time were pretty impressive and got people jazzed up, and the Seahawks were, DK Metcalf was going off, and Russell was, throwing 5 touchdowns a game, and everyone was excited. But then those teams that they were beating up on, as the seasons got away from them, as like they're far less impressive victories now when you look back on them, knowing how those teams played out. So the Seahawks are 5-1. They have played the Falcons in week 1, not a good team. Patriots in week 2, that was a big shootout. Cam looked good. We know how the Patriots are doing now, complete dumpster fire. Beat the Cowboys with Dak Prescott, but they were a 1-win operation, I think. They beat the Dolphins in a kind of a close game, and the Dolphins are kind of a scrappy team, so there's a decent win. They beat a bad Vikings team by 1 point due to some like last drive heroics, and now they've lost to the Cardinals, who are kind of an up and down team. Not really sure what they are. So who have they beaten? I mean, their best win on their schedule is the Dolphins, and Ryan against the Dolphins and Ryan Fitzpatrick. So I think I'm trying to kind of reel in what my expectations for the Seahawks and coming in. So this is my first tier one bet. So tier one bet, these are the bets I feel really good about. First one I feel good about, 49ers at Seahawks right now. Seahawks are minus 3-point favorites, and I'm taking the 49ers plus those 3 points. I'm also taking the money line. I think 49ers are going to go in and win this one outright. I mean, like I just said, the Seahawks schedule is a lot, once you start dissecting the kind of the games they played, a lot less impressive than you think. And, they have a bad defense. They have a good offense, but especially in that Cardinals game, they were not doing a very good job giving Russell time. They were getting pressured, and ultimately that's what led to Russell Wilson making some bad decisions and losing him that game. Is there was people in his face after like a second. And I think the 49ers D-line is going to be able to do that if the Cardinals could. The 49ers, they had 2 games where they just couldn't get past the injuries. But they're a 4-3 club. They lost 2 games down there, like starting QB, starting running back, starting tight end. But other than that, they played really solid. I think they have probably the second best defense in the NFC behind Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't even think that's particularly close. Despite all the injuries they've had on the Bosa going down and the other injuries they've had in the defensive line, they've still been really solid, really good at stopping the run. So I think they'll be able to stop the run. The Seahawks are on their fourth string running back. Chris Carson down, Carlos Hyde down. They're what is it, DJ Dallas or something like that. So yeah, I don't think they're going to be run the ball. They're going to have to ask Russell to do it all on his arm, and he can do that sometimes. But um, for that to be what you're relying on, and then have to see the 3 points, I don't know. I don't like that. And on the other side of the ball, 49ers are going to have no problem tearing up that Seahawks defense. They have Jimmy Garoppolo's back and he's playing fine. George Kittle, monster. Brandon Ayuk, looking great. And it's Shanahan's offense, so like they're gonna have this Jermichael Hasty, Jerick McKinnon. I think Tevin Coleman's gonna be back for this game, so I'm not worried about them in their committee running scheme. I think they'll be fine. So I feel really confident in the 49ers to upset the Hawks in this game. So I have a couple bets on the money line, a couple bets on the points. This is one of my tier ones, heavy recommends this week. My next tier one, Vikings at Green Bay. I like Green Bay minus 6.5 in this one. The Vikings are just not a good football team. They just traded Brandon Ayuk. I can't imagine. Spirits are high. Everyone kind of knows. They're a one-win team. Everyone kind of knows this season's lost. They're in sell mode. Haven't looked particularly motivated the last couple weeks on the field. And aside from that, the Vikings just have not been very good on defense. They just lost their best pass rusher. You had like 5 sacks. So I don't really like them to get. I'm not sure if Bakhtiari is going to be back for Green Bay, but I don't like their pass rush. Being able to frustrate the Packers nor stop the run particularly well. They're down 2 starting cornerbacks. So that means rookie Jeff Gladney is going to be the only in. Harrison Hand are going to be what's between Devontae Adams and the end zone. Devontae Adams, who just put up 198 yards and 2 touchdowns last week. Yeah, I think he's going to have a pretty damn good day. Rodgers and him, and whether Aaron Jones is back or not, I think they're going to make short work of the Vikings. Dalvin Cook is probably going to be back for the Vikings, but I don't think that's enough. The Vikings offense can score points once in a while, but I don't know. Zadarius Smith has kind of had the Vikings numbers. Kenny Clark as well. Vikings offensive line not particularly good. I don't think Kirk and Justin Jefferson, Thielen are going to be able to cover that minus 6.5. I just think there's too many things working against them. So I'm pretty confident in that. That's a tier 1 bet. Last tier 1 bet for the week: Raiders at Browns. So Raiders right now are plus 2.5 point underdogs. And I just don't understand that. I don't know. I thought for sure the Raiders should be favored in this game. Kind of a similar situation with the Browns here. Like who have they played? They're flying high right now. Baker had a great. Odell Beckham goes out with the ACL, but he hadn't really been producing. And then Baker throws like 5 touchdowns, has a great performance in a win against the Bengals. They're the Bengals. Like, come on. If you look at the schedule, the Browns have beaten the Bengals twice, the Cowboys, and Washington. And they beat the Colts. That's the only kind of somewhat impressive win that they beat kind of a middling Colts team. And then they got stomped on by the Ravens and the Steelers. Like, unless they're playing a bottom 10 team, I don't think the Browns are particularly good. They got a not particularly impressive defense. They can run the ball, but their passing offense has struggled. I don't think their line is anything special. Meanwhile, the Raiders quietly have wins against the Panthers, who are looking like a solid ball club. The Raiders beat the Saints in a primetime game, I believe. And then they also beat the Chiefs. So quietly, the Raiders, they're inconsistent, but they quietly have wins against some pretty solid teams. And, I like them. I think Josh Jacobs has been waiting to break out this season. He's been kind of stifled. I think the Browns defense is an opportunity for him to get going finally. And they're going to have Trent Brown back. He's on pace to be back. So their offensive line COVID situation that they had last year is gone. And Derek Carr's been playing pretty good football. So I just think the Raiders should be favored in this one. I think they're a better team just based on what we've seen so far. So when I see them that, they're going to give me the 2.5 points, I'm going to take the 2.5 points. I might also bet the money line. I just think the Raiders are a better team. I really like them to win that one. All right, so on to my tier two bets. So tier one bets, these are ones I recommend, have very confident, you know, have no problem like advising other people to take. Tier two bets, I can kind of see go either way. Sometimes I'm just playing them to be in it for the fun. There's reasons why I wouldn't like recommend them, but still, I like a side enough that I'm gonna wager at least something on them. First one I got is Chargers at Broncos, -3. So the Chargers are -3 point favorites at going into Mile High, and that's kind of part of why. So I mean, Justin Herbert's been amazing. He's been playing really good football, but they haven't won a lot of games despite him playing really good football. They have one win. What ended up being kind of a shootout against the Jaguars. Although like just from watching them and seeing kind of some of the stuff that's going on, like I feel like the Chargers are a better team, and I like them -3, but you look at the schedule and how things have shaken out with their win and losses, and it's just like, and the Broncos, on the other hand, I mean, you're going into Mile High Stadium, which, I mean, no fans, but I still think that's tough. And the Broncos D has been kind of impressive at times. Shutting down the Patriots like a week ago. I think the Broncos defense has kind of outplayed what people expected of them. Their offense is not particularly inspiring, and the Chargers defense is good. So that's, that ultimately I still do like the Chargers -3, but like there's just enough going on with that good Broncos D, going into Mile High, that I actually moved this from my tier one to my tier two bets. I mean, I still like it. Still gonna take the Chargers -3, but just pumping the brakes a little bit. Don't go below your budget on it. Steelers at Ravens, big marquee AFC matchup. So right now, I like the Steelers +3.5. The Steelers are underdogs in this one. Which, what are they, 7-0? So they're going in 7-0 on the road. I guess it's in Baltimore, but we're gonna have them underdogs, I guess. Interesting choice. I think it's fair. I mean, the Ravens are a good team. Steelers are a good team. I could see this one going either way. I mean, both have elite defenses. Ultimately, I like the Steelers, though, because I like the Steelers defense, who I think is probably the best in the NFL. I think that they're gonna end up winning the battle against the Ravens offense. The Ravens offense has not been what it was that we saw last year. They had this electric offense last year. Lamar was able to hit his guys. Really good running game that wasn't just Lamar Jackson. I mean, Mark Ingram had like 18 touchdowns, some insane touchdown rate. They were able to run the ball effectively on the ground with people not named Lamar Jackson last year. This year, they have not been able to do that. They're far less effective on the ground, and I don't know if it's so much Lamar or so much Hollywood Brown and Mark Andrews, but they just don't seem to be on the same page in the brief times I've kind of watched the Ravens. It's just kind of an inconsistent connection there. So I don't really know what's going on, but I know that the Ravens offense is not what it was last year, and the Steelers defense is really freaking good. Meanwhile, the Steelers offense is loaded. I mean, they got a ton of talent. I mean, they haven't faced a challenge like this Baltimore defense. It was pretty dang good, but I just think they got enough talent, and they're loaded, and they've been playing really good ball that they'll do enough to go out and win this game. And if I can have a 3.5 point cushion, I'm going to take that side of it. So I like the Steelers. Next, tier two, I got Patriots at Bills. So I like the Patriots +3.5 in this one. The Bills have just been, I mean, they started off really hot, first 4 games, really good. Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen going nuts, and they've really trailed off since then. I don't know if it's like injuries or people have caught up to what the Bills are doing on offense. I don't really know what's going on, but they just haven't been playing as good. I'm not particularly inspired by them. Their defense has been bad, downright bad, and I think their defense is bad at, like with the way the Chiefs 2 weeks ago, the Chiefs have been mediocre, in run blocking, and they were able to look really solid against the Bills. So I think that's a pretty favorable matchup for the Patriots. I think I'm just feeling like a bounce back for the Patriots. I think they'll be able to run the ball. Cam will kind of get his head out of his ass a little bit and be able to do enough for the Patriots to be able to score some points on this Bills defense. And meanwhile, the Bills or the Patriots defense is good. They still got Stephon Gilmore as of recording this on Wednesday night. There's trade rumors out there, but Patriots, they still got a pretty solid defense. I like them to frustrate, Josh Allen enough, throw off his game. He's kind of been faltering lately. So I don't know, just kind of a gut feel. I like the Patriots despite how bad they've looked lately. Next tier 2 bet, Titans at Bengals. So right now the line is 5.5 in favor of the Titans, and I like the Titans minus 5.5. And this is a tier 2 bet because, it's tough to bet against Joe Burrow, in the spread. Joe Burrow in 5 points, he's been pretty good against the spread, at least the times I've been betting on him. And he doesn't quit. He's going to throw as many passes as it takes to try to keep the Bengals in the game. And the Titans kind of have a tendency to win close games. So would anyone be surprised if the Titans end up winning this? In the fourth quarter by like 3 points, 2 points. No, I don't think anyone would be surprised. But I just think they're just a better caliber team than the Bengals. Bengals got so many problems on offense, defense. The Titans lost Taylor Lewan, their starting left tackle, which I still think is a big deal, but they still got Derrick Henry. Tannehill, has been playing unreal since he's been in Tennessee. A.J. Brown is looking really good since returning from injury. I don't know, better than I remember him being. I know it's his second year, but he looked really good. He broke off a big run. I think that was last week. And I think their defense is kind of figuring it out a little bit. So I just think they're just a better caliber team than the Bengals, and this is a week where they should be able to win comfortably. So I'm going to take the Titans minus 5.5. It's only a tier 2 because they tend to let the other team stay in them. Last tier 2 bet I got is Bucks at Giants. So right now the spread's at 10.5. In favor of the Bucks. So I'll take the Bucks minus 10.5. Like I said earlier, the second best NFC defense is the 49ers, and it's not even close. And the first best defense in the NFC is definitely this Buccaneers defense. I think their front seven run stopping defense is the best in the NFL. I don't see how the Giants have a path to score like any points this week. I think that's the more interesting thing to bet is will the Giants score a touchdown? I'm gonna go with no. So I think the Giants are not going to be able to do much at all. I also don't think they're going to be able to stop the Bucs offense, who, they finally got Gronkowski going. I think they have 2 running backs that can get the job done for them between Ronald Jones and Fournette. To the frustration of fantasy overs, I would say from just a real football perspective, they're both perfectly capable of succeeding in that offense. It's just whoever gets the touches. And, and we still got Mike Evans there. Godwin's probably going to miss. I think he broke his finger, but Scotty Miller's been playing well. The Gopher kid, Tyler Johnson's been playing well. I don't think Antonio Brown's going to see the field yet, but I just think, their offense is not gonna have too much trouble with the Giants. I'm comfortable. This is one of the few times I feel like I'll take the 10.5. I'll cede the 10.5 points and still not really worry about it. My avoids for the week, I got. Try to run through these quick. So the games are just not even touching. Falcons at Panthers. I might be convinced into taking the Panthers minus 2.5. I probably should just go out of my way to watch a Panthers game at some point here because, they've been playing well. It just seems, just based on my expectations. I know I say that every week, but I just positive signs, I guess, from their coaching staff and what they have going on down there. I also miss Teddy, as a Vikings fan. Haven't seen Teddy, and it's just hard to believe he started, 6-7 games this year, and I haven't watched a single one of them, and he's been playing well. I should go out of my way to check out a Teddy Bridgewater game. I just think this is kind of a weird matchup. The NFC South is just so funky. The Falcons are an inconsistent team. You know that they can find a way to lose any given game. Any given Sunday, the Falcons can find a way to lose. But they're just so scary on offense with Julio Jones and what's the other, Ridley and Matt Ryan. Just that passing attack is so dangerous that I'm not really comfortable betting against it right now. Another game, Colts at Lions. Right now the Colts are 3-point favorites. I just think these are pretty comparable teams. I think the Lions offense is a bit better with Kenny Golladay and Matt Stafford. But then the Colts defense is a little bit better with a pretty stout defensive line and pass catchers who've been uh, uh, not pass catchers, defensive line. Cornerbacks. Their cornerbacks have been playing pretty well. I think it's kind of a thing of the pass rush. Low key, look for Marvin Jones to make an appearance this weekend. Marvin Jones, at the end of the year, ends up having fine stats. He's just kind of a no-show most of the time whenever you try to start him in fantasy or something. But the games he goes off, he tends to get like 3 touchdown games when he faces Xavier Rhodes when he was a Viking. So now Xavier Rhodes is a Colt. Marvin Jones owns Xavier Rhodes during his career. So if you need a flyer or a daily fantasy guy, this is a week to take Marvin Jones to just kind of roast Xavier. It just happens so many times. I just can feel it happening again. But back to the matchup, I might be convinced to take the Lions money line just because I just think these are pretty comparable teams. I could see it going either way. Just kind of too close to call for me. Just probably not going to touch it. Saints at Bears. Soldier Field, tough place to play, outdoors. Still no Michael Thomas. Saints have been pretty inconsistent, but the Bears' offense is terrible. So I don't have a lot of faith in them. Their defense is really good. So I don't know. Do you take the Bears plus the 4 points? And I mean, I got burnt by them last year against the Rams, kind of taking that same strategy. So I would probably take the Saints, but I'm probably just not going to touch it. Rams at Dolphins. This one I'm probably going to be convinced to move this into a tier 2 because the money has been coming in on the Dolphins. I mean, I think this was like 4.5 or 4, and now it's moved to Rams minus 3.5. And I want to take the other side. It's like I think it's more fun to put a little money on Tua and see what he can do. But I just think probably if you look throughout the course of history, like betting against rookie quarterbacks in their first start is probably going to pay you more often than it's going to, burn you. So I might be convinced to move that into a tier 2 and just kind of begrudgingly bet against a rookie making his first start. The Rams having a pretty solid defense and an offense that has been up and down, but should be able to pull out a win against the Dolphins team with a new starting quarterback and kind of an underrated defense. I don't know. Might avoid it. Might take the Rams, but I don't know. And then the last game I got, Jets at Chiefs. Chiefs are minus 19.5-point favorites. I mean, and I buy it. I think that's a good line. It's just hard to give a... Like, I just think there's so many more games I'd rather put my money on that I'm not going to mess around with a damn near 20-point spread and, and worry about a Chiefs-Jets game. So I'll just probably avoid that one. So that's all I got for the week. Check out my Twitter at FavoriteFade if you want maybe a little more up-to-date stuff. And I've been getting a few more comments lately. I really enjoy comments. I'm a small channel. I see everything. You disagree? You got reasons why you think I'm being unfair or being an idiot? Let me know in the comments. I'll definitely see it and maybe I'll respond. And that's all I got.